We're going live. All right. Then good morning, everybody. Welcome back to MUFC versus everybody. I am your host, Sean. Thank you so much for joining me this morning from wherever you are. It's a nice morning outside. I love this kind of weather, kind of cold, kind of windy, a little cloudy. Perfect morning. Perfect morning for some coffee. Does anybody have dogs out there? I've got a dog who he's got seasonal allergies, kind of like me. So he was up all night just itching and scratching. So just hung out with him most of the night, making sure he doesn't scratch himself too much. But it's a little tired now, but feeling it. That's okay. We do it because we love him, right? His name's Cooper. He's interesting. He's a bit simple, but he's fun. Obviously today wanted to do our usual roundup of everything Manchester United related. And then I also, because we've got another midweek match, we're going to be doing a preview of our Sheffield United match, our home match tomorrow. We got a couple of home matches back to back, which could be good for us, could be bad, but we'll touch upon that a little bit. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new. Again, it is a live stream. Feel free to share your thoughts as we go along here. I'd love to show my appreciation to everybody. We got a few new subscribers in the last few weeks, which is great. You love to see it. People interacting, people, showing their love to the channel makes me feel like maybe I'm not wasting my time. But again, I like to show my appreciation for some of that. I want to maybe do some more live streams, get people involved, so I can engage with you. And what do you think? Maybe like a giveaway. If we get to a specific number of subscribers, how many subscribers do you think it would take for me to want to do a giveaway? Maybe it'll be like a shirt giveaway. Maybe I like that. I like the idea. Let me know what you think about doing a giveaway. Let me know what you think, how many subscribers it would take. Let's get stuck in though. So starting with a bit of transfer news, Fabrizio Romano yesterday is reporting that Bayer Leverkusen need to sell at least one of their big players this summer. Fabrizio listed Edmund Tapsoba, who we touched upon in our center backs video. Go ahead and watch that video if you haven't yet. Victor Boniface, who is their striker, been doing a really good job. And then obviously Jeremy Frimpong, who is their kind of wing back. He does have a release clause, right? United have been linked with heavy interest in Frimpong. And that release clause is very, very low. It's like 34 million pounds, I think, or euros. Again, I've given my thoughts on Frimpong. The right back wouldn't be my top priority, given everything else we need to worry about. But if we are going to try to sign another right winger again, I would actually just go for the release clause on Frimpong and play him on the right wing. I think he's very attack-minded, he's very fast, gets involved in the attack, a lot of assists. I think he would be perfect for our right wing position. I think it'd be a smooth transition. I think Dallo is doing just fine as a right back, and I don't want to limit anybody. And I think that would be a good solution for everybody. Continuing with transfer links, German journalist Christopher Mickel is reporting that United are very interested in a 17-year-old Norwegian attacking midfielder named Sverre Halseth Nipan. If you know the pronunciation, let me know. He plays for Rosenborg. They play in Norway's top flight. I think it's the Eliteserien, I think is what it's called. He has been compared to Martin Odegaard, so maybe very attack-minded. If true, if this are true, this sounds like another potential future star that United has been targeting under kind of our new structure and this kind of long-term plan for the future. We've seen it with several players in Brazil, like Thalys. And then we've got a lot of young center backs that we've been looking at as well that are 16, 17 years old. And I think that it's good that I like that we're scouting younger players. I like that we're planning for the future. We've had a good track record with that recently with guys like Garnacho and Kabi Manu and Alvaro Fernandez, who, if you didn't watch Benfica's match yesterday, Alvaro Fernandez started that match, had a very good performance, had an assist as well. So Mikkel states that the plan for United in Nipan would be to sign him and then maybe send him out on loan immediately, basically. Kind of like what on paper City have done with their new number 10. I forget the guy's name now. But basically they sign him and then they just basically put him back on loan. I won't pretend to know much about this Norwegian kid, but it is nice to see us doing some scouting like that, and continuing that tradition of looking at these young players and trying to make stars instead of just trying to buy stars. Remember, we did that with Ronaldo when he was just a kid, and I'd like to see us do more of that. Wrapping up the transfer news for now, Fabrizio Romano has also claimed that United will face competition from Man City, Chelsea, and Arsenal for Crystal Palace winger Michael Olise. I do like Olise. He does have a pretty high release clause, I want to say, or there's asking prices like in that 60-65 million range. Very good player. A few injuries. I'm not terribly worried about the injuries, but he is a good young player. Obviously, the whole Premier League proven thing will sway a lot of people. But again, if we were getting right wingers and we were looking at on top of all these other priority positions, I would still probably go with Frimpong over Elise just for price alone. And I do think Frimpong is the better player. So as you know, United have been heavily linked with Elise for months. It's actually been widely assumed that the deal with the player is agreed, at least on personal terms, meaning that the fee with Palace is the last step there. We'll see what happens. Again, if Elise is going to cost more than 60-70 million, I would just probably look elsewhere. And it does sound like Barada and company are not going to be continuing this tradition in the transfer market where United pretty much gets their pants pulled down when it comes to transfer fees, because we take too long, because clubs just see United coming to the door and they put a brand new price tag on it, and it's just, we're done with that. This is what we think the player's worth. We can talk about it a little bit. If you're not gonna come down to a realistic valuation, then good luck to you. We'll see you around. The player now knows we're interested. Who knows if the player is going to push for a move or not? But so Elise looks like he's definitely going to be moving this summer. It's just a matter of where. I don't see. I mean, would he start at Arsenal? Probably not. Chelsea, probably not. They've bought so many wingers. City, maybe you can see him maybe playing for City. They haven't really replaced Riyad Mahrez that well, so I could definitely see him maybe going to City and taking up that right wing position. And then obviously United, we just keep signing wingers, and we just keep. Anthony's not it. Sancho's on loan, so that's 170, 180 million almost. In the last two right wingers we purchased, that they're not even, like, one isn't cut out for the league, and he's been here 2 years. The other is not even here. So we don't have great luck. It's kind of like Chelsea buying strikers. We just don't have great luck with it. So sticking with Fabrizio, he also mentioned that United have yet to offer Rafael Varane a new contract. Varane's current contract runs out in the summer, so he's going to be available for free, similar to David De Gea. I know that I personally, I don't have a problem with Varane if he wants to stick around and not be the guaranteed first choice, or kind of be heavily rotated with maybe a younger center back that we bring in, someone like maybe like a Braithwaite or like an Antonio Silva or something, and rotate in that regard. I don't have a problem. The problem with me with Varane has always just been his injuries. He's just not played more than a couple dozen matches a season for a few years now, and it's a worry. He's currently injured again, and we are just stuck with Maguire. And I don't have a problem with Maguire, but the point is we have one fit center back, and Maguire's only half fit right now. And so we need reliability, we need availability. So if he wants to stick around, reduce his wages, and not be guaranteed starter, fine. If he wants to go to Saudi, if he wants to go back to Lens or something, more power to him. It's a bit of a bummer that we have this history of just kind of losing players for free, but it is what it is. It's like I said, De Gea went last summer. Martial is going to go. Varane potentially could go. And some things don't ever change. Hopefully this will be the last of that phase when it comes to buying some older players who maybe are being paid a little too much, similar to like Casemiro or something. I know Sir Jim was not happy with Casemiro, but we'll see what happens with Varane. If I had to guess right now, I would say maybe he sticks around for a lower fee, but to me, it's going to depend on what happens with Maguire and Lindelof. I do think that one or both of those guys could go as well, and there are some free available center backs that I think we could bring in that would be floor raisers like Tosin at Fulham. I think will be better than Lindelof, and he's available for free. Lloyd Kelly, similar. So moving on. There's been a lot of talk this season about United's players and managers. So whether you're Ten Hag in or Ten Hag out, I think we can all agree that some of these players are stealing a living. If you watched the semifinal on Sunday, you'll know what I mean. On that note, though, we did get some recent comments from former United manager Jose Mourinho, which were featured in the Telegraph. So we know that Mourinho did an interview a little while back with Five, I think, for Rio Ferdinand's channel. And he said there are a couple of players still at United that I didn't want 5 or 6 years ago. So when people talk about the managers being backed, this is what United fans mean. It's backing the manager isn't just about buying players. You know, Mourinho, I don't like Mourinho's personality. I don't like his management style in terms of his man management, but like any other United manager, I think you give them time and you back the manager over the players. And Mourinho was not backed. They backed the players and they sacked Mourinho. Mourinho continued to say, I think that these players represent a little bit what I consider not the best professional profile to a club of a certain dimension. So loads of people on social media are speculating about who these players are, but it doesn't take a detective to look and see who played under Mourinho and which of those players are still at the club. I'll let you guys all figure that out. You guys can go Sherlock Holmes on it and deduce all you want to, but figure it out. But I think that it wouldn't take long for you to figure it out. In some fitness news, again, Romano, man, he's just a wellspring of information these days. He provided some news on United's oft-injured players. So he said Ten Hag has confirmed that Luke Shaw will be ready to play in the FA Cup final next month, which could be a major, major boost for us. Wan-Bissaka, when he came back from injury, he was immense against Mo Salah in the quarterfinal of the Cup. But since he's just been guilty of making some mistakes, switching off a bit, making just some silly errors, you know, going to ground in the box, flying in with your arms raised, giving away 2 penalties in a couple matches. Like, it's just, he just doesn't look switched on a lot. And I think, yeah, in the future, we need to move him on. I don't think if it's, unless we got a crazy offer this summer, he wouldn't be right back wouldn't be my priority. But we're going to see. If in fact the club is looking at Harry Amas to bring him in and they think he's ready, that's one thing. But right now, I think that left back would be more priority simply because of the injuries to the 2 starting left backs that we have. Hopefully, you know, Shaw is back before the final so he can get fit, shake off a bit of that rust, right? Don't shake too hard though, Luke, because you probably get injured again if you do. So that is potentially some good news. We do need some help. We are dropping like flies right now in defense, and he could even fill in at center back as well if we need to. So well done, Luke Shaw, getting fit. I know he's been in training as well, so hopefully we'll get him back sooner than later. So you're gonna have to stay with me on this one. There's a little bit of a potential managerial merry-go-round involving United right now. So James Ducker of the Telegraph is claiming Ten Hag will effectively be on trial over the next month, with Jason Wilcox basically doing an audit on Ten Hag as a manager, assessing his performances, the way he does training, and, you know, his relationship in the dressing room with the players, just, you know, how he gets on with them, basically. So. But Fabrizio Romano says that as of today, no discussions are taking place with other managers, and that while recent results aren't helping Ten Hag, nothing has changed on Ineos's end regarding his future. So, according to Fabrizio Romano, we're not talking with any other managers. We know that Ten Hag is on thin ice and he needs to improve before the end of the season. So where this merry-go-round starts to spin, though, is that there's a report from Sport Zone on Twitter who claim that Thomas Tuchel, who has already been confirmed to be leaving Bayern Munich at the end of the season, has agreed with his own agent. So Thomas Tuchel basically told his agents, hey, if the United job becomes available, I'm interested. Put my name out there. Then we get MUFC MPB on Twitter have also shared reports that former interim United manager Ralf Rangnick, who is also the current Austrian national team coach, is the favorite to take over at Bayern Munich this summer. Whew, it's a lot. So I've seen some more stuff coming out today, too, that Rangnick is pretty much going to be the new Bayern Munich. It's an interesting one. Obviously, you know, a lot of German managers credit Rangnick as the godfather of the Gegenpress. They've modeled a lot of their tactics after him. He's probably one of the best, talent IDs and scouting and directors of football you can get. Well, I was so excited when we brought him in at United, and it was such a bummer that it all went the way it did. He was sacked for doing poorly at a job that he wasn't even hired for. And he could have really helped us in terms of our recruitment. And he pretty much made RB Leipzig. A lot of the players he's signed have gone on to do great things, like Sadio Mane, for instance. Like, I think he was responsible. I don't quote me. I want to say he identified Manuel Neuer a long time ago, but don't quote me on that. But Rangnick is good. I think that with the structure that Bayern Munich have in place, I think he could be good for them. We're going to see what kind of tactics he implements, though. I know Nagelsmann was let go because the players and the Bayern higher ups, and probably the fans too, didn't like how much he shifted around the team selection and the tactics, right? They didn't like that he was constantly changing formation and things. They felt it was too all over the place. Maybe that's, Nagelsmann being a young manager trying, there's a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of excitement. I don't know. I like Nagelsmann as a manager. I think that he represents that new generation, that younger generation coming in, like the Amorims, the Thiago Motta's, those guys. But he's obviously sticking with Germany for a little while, so we'll see. But it's good to see Ralf Rangnick doing his thing. And again, I do think he was let go a bit too prematurely. So we have some entertainment-related news involving United. So I know I shared with you a few days ago in another roundup. Go watch that one too if you haven't seen it yet. That Amazon were releasing a United documentary next month about the 99 treble. It's just called 99, and I think it's 3 episodes for one for each trophy. So that's going to be great. I'm excited for that one. But now The Athletic is reporting that United and Disney are in negotiations to produce a series of documentaries about the club as well. So we're not going to. So before you get too excited, it's not going to be, at least according to reports, it's not going to be a behind-the-scenes, fly-in-the-wall thing like some of the City or the Arsenal or the Newcastle stuff on Amazon, or like Welcome to Wrexham. It's not going to be like that. It's just going to be a series of documentaries, kind of like ESPN's 30 for 30 kind of thing, but it's going to be basically focusing on Sir Alex Ferguson's reign and just the successes and the struggles that he had. So it'll probably be something like that is what we're getting, which is exciting. Disney has another little mini series that I watched a long time ago of David Beckham. That was pretty interesting. If you haven't seen that, I forget what it's called though. Basically, he comes into this youth club in England and he kind of helps them. He turns things around a little bit for him, and he focuses on a few of the players at the club, which is really cool. My wife actually enjoyed that one too when we watched it together, and she couldn't give a rip about football at all, but she thought it was good. So it's good to see. In my opinion, you never have too many United docs, so something to do and something to watch during the off season. When transfer rumors and silly season start kicking off. And saving the best for last in terms of the roundup, it was announced yesterday that former United striker Andy Cole will join the Premier League Hall of Fame as one of 2024 inductees. So big up Coley. A little couple stats for you. Coley has 5 Premier League titles, 187 goals and 73 assists in 414 Premier League matches. That is massive. Severely underrated, Andy Cole. And I think, there's a lot of United players that fly under the radar in terms of what they brought to the team. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is probably one of the biggest ones. The guy came on as a sub in like the 70-some-odd minute and scored 4 goals once. Like, that's crazy. Michael Carrick, obviously. I think David Beckham is severely underrated. I think a lot of people look at Beckham as celebrity first and footballer second. Beckham, if you watch some of his overall play, people think, he puts a cross in. He scored that goal against Wimbledon. Like, his footwork in the final third was immense. To watch him score some crazy goals where he's just diced several defenders. Scored headers, scored with his left foot. We don't have a treble without Beckham putting in these corner kicks. And where you have some players who are just volume crossers and eventually one will stick, Beckham and like Scholes, they could put that ball anywhere you want it. They'll make it rain. You want it in your stride on your left foot in the final. Beckham's nailing it 9 times out of 10. And I think he was totally robbed of the Ballon d'Or. And fight me if you don't agree. But well done, Coley. Congratulations to that. It's nice to see. I think that's like the 9th former United player that's been inducted into the Hall of Fame since it started a few years ago. So it's still robbery that Giggsy hasn't featured in. I'm not going to go too deep on that because I know that's a touchy subject, but it is robbery that he is not in there as well at all. So I want to dive now into my preview of tomorrow's match against Sheffield United. It's going to be an interesting match. Obviously, we're coming off of some horrible performances, some horrible results. The players just don't look interested anymore. And again, it's the first of back-to-back home matches going into this final stretch of the season. And you'd think, a home match, the crowd's behind you. But I think that honestly, these players are just going to buckle under that pressure of playing in front of their home fans. I think the players, the mentality is super fragile. And I don't know how. You never know how this is going to go. A lot of it has to do with fitness. Obviously, I previewed the semifinal and looked at my predicted lineups. And then like the next day, we're like, Mount's injured, Cam Wallace injured. And I'm like, what is happening? It's sad that it even needs to be said that United have a lot to prove right now to their home fans. That should just be a given every single time you put on that shirt and step onto the pitch. But these players, if they didn't take a good, long, hard look at themselves after we scrape by against Coventry, then their mentality is even in a worse state than I thought. But let's take a look at some recent form here. So Sheffield have 0 wins, 3 losses, 2 draws in their last 5 matches. They've scored 6 goals in their last 5 and have conceded 14, which it looked good for us, but I mean, it's United right now, so it is what it is. They did manage a 2-2 draw against Chelsea recently, but they did just lose 4-1 to Burnley, who we play in the weekend as well. So Sheffield United tend to play a kind of a 4-3-3 as they played a 4-3-3 against Burnley, which is a bit of a change for them because they usually play like a 3 or a 5 at the back, which obviously will change depending on whether or not they have the ball. They'll probably stick with the 3 at the 5 at the back against us. They'll probably want to sit a little deeper and hit us on the counter because that's the way you beat United right now. Or even more so, you beat United by just showing up. Sheffield, in my opinion, not to be disrespectful, there's not really a major threat in terms of the players, but we know McBurney can be a bit of a handful. Diaz and Hamer have also pitched in with goals as well. Hamer, in fact, has the most goal involvements for Sheffield United. I think he's got 4 goals, 5 assists this season for them, which in the grand scheme of things is not great, but he's probably their best player right now in terms of numbers. Looks like their striker, Ryan Brewster, might be back fit. I know he was missing, I think it was like a calf or something. So he might be back fit for this one. And they still have a lot of players out right now. I know that they have a lot of injuries to a lot of their key players. So again, you don't like to see it, but it does help us. And we need any little bit we can get right now. So aside from our shootout win in the semifinal, United have 3 draws and a loss in our last 5. So yay. Good news is we scored goals in those matches. We haven't failed to score goals. I think the lowest we've scored is that 1-1 draw against Brentford. Every other match we scored at least 2 goals. So we're getting on the board. It's just we're switching off in defense, and we have an injury-riddled back line, so it doesn't help. And then, we can't complete a pass to save our lives. We are getting just bypassed in midfield, and just when your back line is a skeleton crew, you have to provide support. This is also why I don't. Just going on a tangent here. This is why I don't like that clean sheets are used to determine the Golden Glove winner. I think that's ridiculous. I think that clean sheets have so much more to do with the team than the keeper. You can have a keeper like David De Gea. There was one season where he faced more shots, he made more saves than both Ederson and Alisson combined. And this is why I said, the triangulation of stats, right? The clean sheets, fine, whatever. Let's look at shots faced, save percentage kind of thing as well. I think that is a bigger determinant. But getting all that to say that the team in front of you has a lot more to do with it. David De Gea has had a lot more actual goalkeeping in his prime to do than like Manuel Neuer, who had just a better defense, or Alisson, who's had a much better defense. And so, not trying to get into United versus everybody kind of thing, but there's more to these stats and more to clean sheets than just the keeper. And a lot of that, as we're seeing, has to do with midfield getting bypassed, defenders switching off and making silly mistakes or failing to clear their lines, first and foremost. And Onana has been massive for us. That save he made in that volley in the semifinal was huge. And I think he needs to get a little bit more credit. People need to move on from the Champions League group stage and look at what he's been doing since then, and be willing to admit he has improved and he has stepped up. Sheffield don't tend to score many late goals too, which is good for us. But it is also, again, it's hard to be confident in United these days, right? It's just, you just never know what you're going to get. As far as team news, it's anyone's guess if Rashford and McTominay are going to feature. Both were taken off on Sunday. McTominay was holding his groin. We saw Rashford limping after the match. So we'll see. I don't know if he's injured or if it's like a Bukayo Saka who just always limps after he doesn't play well. Any chance I get to bash Arsenal, I'm going to take it. Ten Hag hasn't really commented on Rashford's injury. He probably will. We'll probably see a press conference later on. But he could still be without Mason Mount, Amrabat, obviously, Lindelof, Varane, Shaw, Campbell, Evans, and Martinez are all obviously gone. Though we did get an Instagram post from Licha, just a photo of himself with the caption "soon." So maybe that means he'll be back soon. I hope, unless soon means something in a different language. I don't know what it means. But it's one of those things where we need bodies, right? But I'm like, I don't want to rush players back. We saw what happened when we rushed him back and we lost him again. We've seen it time and time again. But at some point, these players need to just push through that pain barrier and pull it out for us this remainder of the season. We need players to show up. Don't give me hope, Licha, is what I'm saying. Was that the Hawkeye meme from Avengers? So we saw Casemiro fill in at center back against Coventry. So I imagine we'll see him again if Kambwala isn't fit. I don't think Casemiro did awful. And he did play some stupid passes, right? But he does that all the time. That has nothing to do with him filling in at center back. That's just Casemiro being Casemiro. I've said it since he joined. He's always good for at least one, like, no-look pass in the midfield in our own half that goes straight to the opposition. He's always good for one of those. And it's frustrating. And watching him try to run to make up for that and close the player down is always funny. But it's Casemiro. You know what you're getting. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying that's just Casemiro. That's not a Casemiro at center back thing. There's a very small chance I'm reading that Evans could be fit since his injury was reportedly a short-term muscle issue. Obviously, when you get a little older, it takes a little longer to recover. You're not able to play as frequently. I know that in my late 20s, I could go have kickabout. I could go play for hours and hours several times a week. I remember doing indoor and showing up early just to kind of loosen up, and another team needed subs. So my buddy and I played that game because they didn't have enough players. Then immediately after played our game. And we could do that when you're in your late 20s. But as soon as I hit 30, literally when I hit 30, boom, groin, done for a couple months. IT band issue in my leg. Now I'm like, I want to play, but I'm moving a little slower. My body is picking up, little strains and stuff here and there, and I'm not able to play multiple times a week. And I'm not a professional athlete by any means. It's just, this is what happens when you get old and you put all these miles on your body. And athletes are going to get the kind of injuries that normal people don't get. It's like my dog. I have a dog who's an Australian Shepherd and a Border Collie mix, and she is crazy active. But she did an ACL thing about 5 years ago. A lot of dogs don't get that kind of stuff when they're in different breeds because they're just different types of dog. Athletes get a lot more of these kind of injuries than normal individuals just because of the strain and the movements and the activities and the frequency of those things that they're doing. So hopefully Evans is good enough for the bench. If he's fit enough for the bench, just start him. We need center backs to play in defense, and he has been solid for us this season whenever he's played. and he's dialing back the years. And it's good to see. Obviously, he wouldn't have been anybody's first choice, but he came in for free. He's done his job, and he's done it well. He's been a good example on the pitch for just what to do. And his experience means he can sniff out the danger really well, kind of like Varane. He just knows where to be, knows where the danger's coming from, just from the years of experience that he has. We need bodies. It would be a big boost if Evans were available. I'm not holding out hope. I think it's probably going to be Casemiro again, but we'll see what happens. There's never room for error in football. We just can't afford to drop points tomorrow. We literally can't afford to drop any more points, especially if we want any hope of playing European football. I think it's Champions League is done and dusted. We're not getting Champions League. We're going to be playing Thursday night football probably. So clear your calendars now for Thursdays. According to the bookies, United are favorites tomorrow. I don't know how. I don't know what that's based on. I can't see how that happens, because I have eyes and I've watched us play. I don't know how we're favorites. Bruno is likely going to be our danger man. He's probably going to be the one who's going to pull out something. He's got 5 goals in his last 5 league games. So he's a man in form right now. We've seen him a little bit more, I want to say subdued, but in terms of just his whining and his emotive personality, we've seen that kind of subdued. Maybe he's just tired. Maybe he's just again, hit with the mentality of the end of the season. Who knows? But we need him to do something. Be interesting to see where he plays. I know McTominay played deep and Bruno played as a 10, but Bruno tends to drop back a lot to play kind of a playmaker and take the ball and try to make something happen. So it's going to be interesting to see. Højlund will hopefully be able to kick on after taking some time to score after coming back from his injury. He tries, bless him. I think he had the fewest touches of any outfield player in our semifinal match. Just he doesn't get the ball, and it's difficult. We have our wingers they want to score and they want to attack and they want to get ahead, but it's just we lose possession so easily. And Højlund it's a thankless job. I know we saw some stories recently that there was a bit of tension in the dressing room early in the season. Højlund kind of had a go at Dalot. We've seen Højlund have a go at his teammates for failing to find him, which I don't have a problem with. That's what you want to see. And I know there's some issues with Bruno. I think the stories were Højlund took it to the coaches and they told him to go talk to Dalot about it. I know some channels were like, well, why is the coach doing that? It's how you get adults to work out their issues. You don't handle it for them like you're a babysitter or something. You let them figure it out. And then if you need to, you come in and mediate. But these players need to learn, their teammates, they're working together. They need to learn how to talk about these things. Conversations are going to happen. Awkward conversations are going to, conflict is going to happen. You're never going to avoid conflict. And that's the point. You can't avoid it. You can just handle it better. And it only happens when you just engage with it and give it a shot and try. So it's good to see that things have obviously changed a little bit. But Højlund needs to score more goals. I think it was great for him to score that winner. It's good for him. I was happy to see him do that. It's a big moment for him. Like I said the other day, yes, it was a pen, but it was a final pen in a shootout that put us in the final. It's great for a young striker to get that. And it's going to be good for his mentality. We need that going into the home stretch. We need him confident. We need him in form. We need him scoring goals. And so sometimes this is what it takes to kind of kick that on again after coming back from an injury, especially. So the starting 11 I would choose for this definitely assumes that Rashford isn't fit. Obviously, he limped off. I'm assuming that he's not fit going into this, so keep that in mind. And then, of course, it assumes the players that we have injured and who are unavailable. Of course, kind of like last time, that could all change since this video stream goes live, just like the Coventry match. I'm probably just going to go with an unchanged back line like we saw. So Onana, Dalot, Casemiro, Maguire, and Wan-Bissaka. I would consider maybe, though, flipping Wan-Bissaka and Dalot, putting Wan-Bissaka back on the right side. I think because he's so one-footed, I don't trust him when he's trying to force players to that left side. I don't think he can tackle as well with his left and force them wide. And oftentimes it sees him get beat, and then he's got to try to chase people down. And I don't like seeing Wan-Bissaka have to try to chase opposition players into our box. I get a little, I pee a little every time that happens because I worry. So I would flip them back. Dalot can play left back. He played there when he was in Portugal, and when he was before we bought him. He's done that for us. He can do just fine. And it depends on who starts in the right wing. Obviously, Dallo and Garnacho have a little bit of an understanding. So on one hand, you'd hate to kind of break that up, but it just depends on Wan-Bissaka, honestly. And there's nothing wrong with starting it with Wan-Bissaka on the left and Dallo on the right, and then even having them switch if needed. We saw that against Coventry, depending on the situation, one would flip in with the other and, for a little bit, and then they'd flip back, excuse me. And we see that with wingers a lot as well. So I'm not opposed to it. Probably Manu and Bruno in the pivot with McTominay as the 10 if he comes back. If not, McTominay is fit, if it wasn't a serious groin thing. Simply because of I don't think McTominay is creative, but making those late runs, kind of starting in that higher up position where he doesn't have to worry about playmaking or progressing the ball and kind of being kind of a further link in the chain of attack. Makes the late runs. He can hold the ball. He's physical. He causes problems in the opposition box, especially if we're getting some crosses. And he's got a good shot on him, especially off the edge of the box. And he seems to just pop up in the right places in the box when we have possession. So it does make him an effective outlet. Again, this is assuming maybe he's fit. If he's not fit after being subbed off, then I imagine it's probably going to be Eriksen, Manu, and Bruno as a 10. Eriksen didn't look bad when he came on against Coventry. Yes, it's Coventry, but Eriksen has been out for a while. He's got a bit of rust. He was injured for a bit. He was showing some fight. He was showing some energy. He was getting stuck in. He was, pressing the ball. He was doing things. I liked what I saw from Eriksen. I think if we can get that Eriksen the rest of the season, I think that our midfield looks. He's just defensive midfielder. I'm saying that is a we haven't seen, and we saw a little bit against Coventry, and I think that we are going to want to counter, and Eriksen might also be able to unlock, a low block if that's the way. Sheffield United are going to sit. If Rashford is out, I'd start Ahmad and Garnacho with Bruno in the middle, and then Højlund up top. I think Ahmad, he's good at just, again, those 1-2s, keeping the ball on the floor. He's good at give and goes. We don't have a lot of players who can do that. A lot of our attackers just want to go and attack, and he is one who's able to kind of be patient, lay the ball off, pass it back if we need to, make a run. He understands that sometimes you have to go backwards to go forwards. It's like I said before, it's like shooting a bow and arrow. Sometimes to launch an attack, you got to start with a pass. It pulls defenders out. It lets you kind of make a run in behind. If you have a good link up and good timing, you can really do some damage. And I like what I see from Ahmad. I'm not going to be one of those people who's like Ten Hag out because he's not playing Ahmad, because these are the same people who, when it came to Donny van de Beek with all these other managers, they were like, well, there must be something wrong because none of these other managers play him. Managers have reasons for everything. They see things in training. They talk to the players behind the scenes. They know more than we do. It is what it is. And again, you just let it happen. Ten Hag, his future, and any manager for that regard are going to, live or die based on these kind of decisions. And Ten Hag knows that. And it's on him. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. We can sit and argue about Ten Hag out, Ten Hag, all we want, but it doesn't matter. I think Ineos have their minds made up, whether it's sacking or sticking with him for the year, and nothing that happens now, barring a catastrophic collapse or like a major defeat in the final or something, or missing out on Europe altogether, I don't think that anything is going to change their minds. So I do also have a sneaking suspicion, depending on who's fit, that Amari Forson could start this one. He came on. He looked pretty good when he came on the other day. He's getting involved. He's getting some shots off, getting into those advanced positions, making himself kind of a dangerous option in the opposition area. And you like that. It's a nice little change of pace. I think that we might see him start. If Ahmad is not in the plans, maybe Ahmad could start as a 10 now that I think about it. We played there a lot for Sunderland. If we put Bruno in the pivot and play Ahmad as a 10, maybe put Forson and Garnacho wide with Højlund up top if Rashford's not fit. You know what? I'm going to go with that one, actually. So Højlund up top, Ahmad in the middle, number 10, Garnacho, Forson, Bruno, Manu in the pivot. What do you think of that formation going forward if Rashford's not fit and McTominay aren't fit? I like that, actually. I think that offers a bit of dynamism. I think it offers some energy, some creativity in there. You got the blend of youth. You got Bruno kind of dictating play a little bit. I'm going to go with that one. So let me know what you think, what your match predictions are, what your predictions for the starting 11s are. What are your score predictions? I'm going to go with 3-1 United win tomorrow. I think that we tend to just concede goals. It's just inevitable. But again, we have been scoring a lot of goals. We scored 3 against Coventry. We score. There's only been, like I said, the last match we only scored 1 goal and was against Brentford, and that was a long time ago. So I think that it'll be a 3-1 win. I think that Højlund's going to get on the score. I think Garnacho's going to get on there. I think we'll probably get a pen. And obviously Bruno's going to take that. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new. Don't forget to go check us out on MUFC versus Everybody on Twitter. And don't forget to leave a comment if you're coming later on and you have any thoughts on any of the news or any of the match preview predictions. Let me know what you think. Agree, disagree. And then hopefully we can get some more subscribers, get some more people active. Maybe I'd like to, again, show my appreciation, do some more interactions, engaging, maybe do a giveaway in the future if we get to a certain number of subscribers. Let me know what you think. If that's something you'd like to be a part of, you'd like to see happen. And then I do appreciate everybody who's following along. Do appreciate the new subscribers. It always makes me feel better. And I will talk to you guys probably after the match tomorrow with just my initial reaction. And then obviously we'll do a 3 thoughts the following day, kind of a preview of the weekend, because we've got another match coming right around. I might be gone all day Thursday, so I don't know if I'll be able to check in with you guys Thursday, but we'll see. It's going to depend on the weather. So I'll talk to you guys in the next one, though. Thanks again. Bye.